Hello, everybody. Today we are going to look at an overview of one of the trickiest points in English grammar, which is the verb patterns. In many languages, and in English, for example, but also in Italian, French, and many Indo-European languages, we happen to have a construction of one verb after another. It means we have two verbs that in some way contribute to form a new meaning, right? Some of these verbs are very common and you are already familiar with them, so don't be afraid. For example, modal verbs have a verb pattern behavior, because when I use a modal, I use it in conjunction with another verb. So I can say, for example, I use can, which is of course a verb, and say, which is the base form of the second verb. So we have two verbs, one main verb and a second verb, and in between the two verbs there have to be sometimes nothing, sometimes the preposition to, sometimes the second verb goes in the gerund, and we have many different possibilities. So we are going to look at them today. So let's have a look here. We have verb plus verb base form in modal auxiliaries. The first example here is I must be on the train tomorrow. First verb in the indicative and second verb the base form. Then I can have verb plus infinitive, which means to plus base form. For example, I try to understand why she behaved like that, or it started to rain, right? Sometimes we can have the verb plus the gerund, like in it started raining, or try putting some potatoes, or the robber denied committing the crime. In this example, deny, which means to say no, needs the verb coming after it in the gerund. Here again, we have try putting, so try with the gerund. Then another possibility is verb plus object plus infinitive. Here we have the example. I want you, that's the object. I want you, the infinitive, to meet Sally. Something I won't go deep into the explanation is the exceptions or the special meanings that some verbs can have. But just for the sake of the argument, let me highlight that some verbs can have either the gerund or the infinitive without any change of meaning. So it started raining and it started to rain. It's exactly the same meaning. However, there are other verbs like try here. Try to understand, there's an R missing here. Try to understand why she behaved like that, and try putting some potatoes, in which the verb try can have after either the infinitive or the gerund, but in this case, the verb try changes of meaning. But this will be the topic of another lesson. So let's start with first things first. Verb plus bear infinitive. Bear is like this tree without any leaves. Bare means naked, okay? The infinitive without to. So sometimes I do not need anything between the first verb and the second verb. For example, feel, hear, help, let. I will let you know. Okay, we have the object plus the bare infinitive. I could feel him watch me. I had this idea that he was looking at me. Or I made them leave. I forced them to leave. So some verbs do not have anything between the first verb, them, and the verb that comes after. Among these, of course, the most important category is that of modal auxiliaries. May I enter? It might rain. I saw you enter the room. I watched him cross the street. Okay, so sometimes you don't need anything between first verb and second verb. However, when these verbs are put in the passive, they take again the to, the preposition to. So he was made to feel unwelcome, or they were seen to enter the building after dark. The most important verbs in this category that you need to remember are the modal verbs, the verb help, and the verb let. These are the most important ones. And now let's have a look at the infinitive with to. Here are the most important. For example, seem to do something, decide to do something, plan or hope or want. We have already seen it. Want, I want you to do something. Intend to do something or agree to do something. Here we have some examples. As it was late, we decided to take a taxi home. Some verbs like learn need a question word after them. For example, how old were you when you learned how to drive? So they need also how. And some others are tricky because they are false friends. One of the most used false friend verb in this category is to pretend, because for Italian to pretend means to ask with force, with strength, something, ask something, but in English it means to fake, to like to put a mask on and do something making the other people think you're doing something else. For example, he pretended not to see me as he passed me in the street. It means he ignored me. He saw me, but he behaved as if he hadn't seen me. So he pretended. For example, young children often play at let's pretend. Let's pretend to be pirates. One more thing in the negative, pretended not to see. The negative not, the particle not, goes before to. He pretended not to see me. So let's have a look then at the verb plus gerund. Many tricky verbs are in this category. For example, the trickiest of them all is the verb suggest, to make a suggestion. When you say, let's go to the cinema. Okay, for Italian people is absolutely normal to say, I suggested to go to the cinema. That's wrong, terribly wrong, because suggest takes the gerund. I suggest going to the market. He suggested going to the cinema. Or he suggested that we go to the cinema. Or he suggested we go to the cinema, but never with the particle, with the preposition to. Other important verbs are in this category. For example, prefer. I prefer cooking to eating in a restaurant. I prefer skiing to snowboarding. I prefer riding to going by train. Practice or mind. For example, mind means have you got any interest? Do you agree or don't you agree if, for example, if I want to open the window? And so I say that's a very kind way to ask for permission. It's a very kind way to ask people to do something for you. Do you mind opening the window? Do you mind eating vegan tonight? Of course, we have admit and deny. He admitted robbing the bank. He denied killing the cashier. Avoid means try not to do something. He avoided meeting me. Then we have enjoy or feel like, finish doing, forgive doing. To give up means to stop doing something. Then imagine, involve, and keep on means to continue. Go on means to continue. And last for today is the verb plus object plus infinitive that we saw also in one of our first examples. I want you to go to the market. And these verbs are very important. You have to learn them by heart. There are not many, so it's pretty easy task. Want, need, expect. Expect means I am in the attitude that I think you will do that. I expect you pass the exam. I think you will pass. Force somebody to do something. It means that you make him do something under duress, without the other people consent, without the other person's consent. And then make somebody do something. Here again, we have the idea of forcing somebody to do something. For example, these people in the picture have been forced to flee.